be real with y'all. The truth is, most people don't know how to change their lives because they simply don't know how to change their identity. And yes, I know that sounds deep, but hear me out. If you still keep identifying with the same habits, the same routine, the same mindset, and the same version of yourself from 2-3 years ago, your life is naturally going to keep reflecting that. So I want y'all to do something. Get a piece of paper or open the Notes app, and I want you to make a list with 2 columns. On one side, I want you to write down your old identity. Write down your old mindset, your old habits, your old routine, and the old version of yourself that you are trying to outgrow. And on the other side, I want you to write down the woman that you are becoming. What does she look like? How does she carry herself? What are her habits like? What is her morning routine like? It is so important to envision these things because the truth is, reinventing yourself isn't about waking up one day and magically becoming this completely different person overnight. It's about slowly becoming more aligned with the version of yourself that you know you are capable of becoming. And over the past year, that has been my personal mission and something that I have been focusing heavily in my own life. So in today's video, we're going to be talking all about leveling up and reinventing yourself. And we are going to touch on all the points, how to reinvent yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, and even spiritually. So if you are at a point in your life where you are feeling stuck, if you feel like your life has hit a plateau, or if you are at a point where you feel like you have outgrown the version of yourself that you currently are, this video is definitely for you. Alright y'all, so throughout this video, I'm going to be breaking things down into levels so that we could have a clear understanding of all the steps and phases when it comes to reinventing yourself and stepping into the new version of yourself. So level 1 is all about shifting the mindset and deciding who you are becoming. Like I said earlier, you cannot reinvent yourself if you keep identifying with the old version of yourself. Point blank period. If you keep saying things like, oh, I'm just a night owl, I don't naturally have a petite body, oh, I wish I had her body, I wish I had her life. If you keep speaking those negative affirmations over yourself, then subconsciously you're continuing to identify with that old version of yourself that feels stuck. And trust me when I say I have been there numerous times. So the first thing that I had to do was sit down and audit my life. I had to seriously face the harsh reality of where I'm currently at right now in my life. I had to look at my habits, my mindset, my current routine. How am I spending my time? And really ask myself, what routines are keeping me stuck? What habits are keeping me stuck? What it is about my mindset that's keeping me stuck? And what patterns am I repeating over and over again that's preventing me from stepping into the new version of myself? It's one thing to have a vision for your life, but it's another thing to really sit down and get to the root cause of why you're not there yet. I had to ask questions like, what does this new version of myself look like? How does her routine look like? How does her habits look like? What kind of energy does she have? How does she carry herself? How does she speak? What type of energy does she allow around her? I know it could be a struggle at first, but it is truly, truly important to tackle those things, because if you struggle with that in the beginning, honestly, everything else later down the line is going to be a struggle for you as well. So level 2 is about creating structure and routine in your life. And this is the part where we are really going to get into the meat and potatoes of all of this. And this is hands down the part that made the biggest impact in my life personally. And for most people, their lives could completely change just by simply having structure and routine in their life. And I'm going to be real with y'all. I used to be a very type B person. I used to be a go with the flow type of person. I never really had any structure or routine in my day-to-day life, and it showed. Before, a simple task that should have taken me only 30 minutes to complete will end up turning into 2 to 3 hours because I would constantly get distracted and I would just be all over the place. And one of the things that really, really helped me was time blocking. This is a term that I recently learned, and for those who never heard of that term, time blocking is pretty much where you divide your day, your daily task, into dedicated blocks of time. So for example, I like to time block my morning routine from 6 a.m. to 9. So when I wake up in the morning, I make my bed, get ready to either go to my Pilates class or go to the gym, come back, take a shower, do my skincare routine or apply my makeup. Then I would usually eat my breakfast, pray, journal, and then I would mentally prepare for the day. So by 9 a.m., I'm ready to go, I'm locked in, and I'm completely ready to get started on my work for the day. And I time block every part of my day now. I like to time block my morning routine, my nighttime routine, my work days. On the days where I'm meal prepping, I like to time block. Like, I love time blocking. It helps so much to keep me on track. Another thing that really helps is writing my tasks down on a planner the night before, so that when I wake up the next day, I already know what I have to do. And it really helps to make my days more structured. And now I actually know what it is that I have to do for the day instead of just winging everything. So it is so important to develop those keystone habits and actually stay consistent with it, because that's when you are able to build a routine. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'm still in the process myself of really developing and being consistent with those keystone habits. There are still days where I want to stay in bed till noon. There are some days where I feel unmotivated. There are still days where this new version of myself feel uncomfortable, because if I'm being real, it still feels unfamiliar to me. While you're in the process of shifting your mindset, developing new habits, a new routine, your mind will naturally want to go back to what's familiar and safe. And your mind will literally play tricks on you to pull you back into those old habits and old routines. If no one ever told you, reinventing yourself is going to feel painful. It's going to feel uncomfortable. You are going to experience that. There's no way around it. And sometimes you have to stop overthinking things and just do it. Before you even let your mind drift and start overthinking, just get up and do it. Whatever task you have to do, if you gotta hit the gym, you gotta get to that workout class and you're overthinking and your mind start racing, just get up and do it before you even allow your mind to get there. All right, so at this point, you shifted your mindset, you're building discipline, you're creating structure, and you are building better habits. And this is where you naturally start entering that next level of your reinvention journey. Once you start shifting your habits and your routine, your interest also starts to naturally shift as well. And for me personally, once I started to become more consistent with my habits and my routine, that's when I really felt myself getting closer to that reinvention breakthrough that I have always been wanting to get to. And I naturally felt myself leveling up as a person. And over time, I naturally started to notice that the things that used to entertain me or consume most of my time, I was starting to outgrow a lot of them. And I think this is also a really important part, because as you are stepping into this new version of yourself, you have to replace those old interests, those old hobbies, into new hobbies that are going to actually help you grow, having new interests that are going to help you to evolve as you step into this new version of yourself. Start exploring new skills, new hobbies, and new experiences that is going to broaden your horizon and really challenge you to step outside of your comfort zone. For me personally, one thing that I wanted to do this year was learn a new language. I've always wanted to learn how to speak Spanish. I plan on doing a little bit of traveling this year, and I also feel like it would be such a useful skill to use in the real life. I have been looking for realistic ways to learn a new language, and one app that has been genuinely helpful for me is Speak. Speak is a language learning app that is built around actually learning how to speak a new language fluently instead of just learning random words and phrases. What I really love about this app is that it makes learning a new language feel way more realistic and interactive. One feature on the app that I've really been liking is the custom learning path, because it adjusts based on your level and what you actually want to focus on learning. They also have this feature called Free Talk, where you can practice real life conversations. You could role play different scenarios, which is really helpful in building that confidence when you're learning to speak a new language fluently. So whether it's ordering food, introducing yourself, traveling, or just having those casual conversations, it actually helps you practice speaking in those real world situations instead of just studying vocabulary. So for me personally, I have been challenging myself to practice my Spanish on the app for 10 minutes a day. And I've also been finding ways to fit it into my routine, which actually have been pretty easy. So whenever I go on my daily walks, instead of listening to music, I'm practicing on the app. It is such a great way to pass the time when I'm doing my daily walks. And I noticed in a short amount of time, I actually felt comfortable with speaking and understanding Spanish. And I even find myself practicing my Spanish with some of my friends and family members that are actually fluent in Spanish. I actually find myself more comfortable comfortable now in speaking and understanding the language. And I know for a fact that is something that I would not even have the confidence to do before. So I actually want to challenge you guys to do the same thing. Download the Speak app, choose whatever language you want to learn, and practice for at least 10 minutes a day for 7 days. At the end of the week, test yourself in a real world setting, and you'll really see just how much you improved in just a short amount of time. And y'all already know I got y'all, so you could actually use my link in the description box to start your free 7-day trial with Speak. Definitely check them out if you're looking for an easy way to learn a new language. And thank you so much to Speak for sponsoring this portion of today's video. All right, so we are entering another level of the reinvention journey, and this level is going to be all about protecting your environment and protecting your energy. This level is so crucial because the truth is you cannot step into this new version of yourself while constantly surrounding yourself with old environments, people, and habits that could potentially pull you back into your old identity. So for a little backstory, when I first started my YouTube channel, I was still working in pharmacy, and I'm not gonna lie, I used to be really shy and insecure about posting my content because I was still new to it, and I was also new in stepping into this new identity of becoming a content creator. As I was evolving and stepping into the new version of myself, one thing that I realized is that not everybody around you is gonna understand it, and that's okay. You're at that stage where you're still building your confidence up and you're still building belief in yourself. And if you are constantly surrounding yourself with negativity, doubt, projection, and people who only see the old version of yourself, it could slowly start affecting your mindset without you even realizing it. Before pursuing my career in content creation, my original career plan was to become a pharmacist. I was already working at the hospital as a pharmacy tech. I was working side by side with licensed pharmacists. I had all my prerequisites done. I even got accepted into pharmacy school. So I had everything lined up and I was ready to go. But deep down inside, I absolutely hated it. I hated working in pharmacy, and between going to school and working full-time, my days always ended in me feeling emotionally, mentally, and physically drained. It just wasn't a passion-driven career for me at all, and there was such a strong and loud voice inside telling me that this was not the right path for me. So I had to make the hard decision and completely walk away from this only career path that I've ever known, and it completely blew my whole world up. I ended up quitting school. I quit my job abruptly. And in that season, I felt so scared. I felt lost, and I really felt uncertain about my future in life. I also had to deal with some pretty heavy emotions, and instead of just bottling up those feelings, I had to learn how to actually process them. And that's where I started to incorporate things like journaling and prayer, which really made a huge impact in my life. And it is so important to actually acknowledge your emotions instead of just suppressing it. And I think a lot of people tend to avoid those uncomfortable emotions instead of just sitting down with it and actually acknowledging and expressing your emotion in the moment. In addition to journaling, prayer also completely shifted my perspective on everything. Whenever I experienced any bad or unfortunate situations, I had to really shift my mindset. So instead of asking questions like, why is this happening to me? I instead asked myself, what is this season trying to teach me right now? What lesson can I take out of this situation right here? And that mindset shift is so important because instead of looking at your past as losses, you could now have a different perspective. So now you can look at your past as lessons and preparation for when you step into the new season of your life. Let's say your goal is to make $10,000 a month. If God were to bless you with that opportunity right now, do you know how to budget? Do you know how to manage your finances? Do you know how to be disciplined with your money so you don't fall into debt? Or are you just going to run it up at the mall? Sometimes God allows certain things to happen in your life or don't allow certain doors to open yet because you still need to learn certain lessons, certain disciplines and habits before stepping into that new season in your life, before you receive that blessing. So that mentality shift really changed my perspective on things, and I stopped seeing myself as the victim and started viewing every season of my life as moments of preparation and not punishment. So now we're going to touch on the last level. This is the part where most people tend to focus on the most, and quite frankly, a lot of people have been obsessed with this lately, and I'm talking about beauty maxing. I intentionally saved this part for last because if you don't already have the other parts somewhat together, if you are not already working on shifting your mindset, building your discipline, creating a structure and routine in your life, this part right here is not going to really matter. This trend has been blowing up all over TikTok for those of you who haven't caught on to it yet. And for those of you who don't know what the actual term beauty maxing is, it is the practice of maximizing one's physical attractiveness to its fullest potential. With that being said, this is a topic that I wanted to touch on in this video because I 1000% agree with this. Let's keep it real. Your physical appearance absolutely affects the way people will perceive you and even the way people will treat you. That's just the hard truth. And some people try to act like looks doesn't matter at all, but in reality, the way you present yourself makes such a difference. It's one thing to build your confidence up internally, but you also want to feel confident on the outside. You want to feel confident in the way that you look. So maximizing those natural features and qualities that you already have could really help to build up that confidence while stepping into this new version of yourself. So this could look like improving your skincare, switching up your hairstyle, finding that signature fragrance that gets you all the compliments when you walk inside a room, switching up your personal style, going to the gym, and all those little things combined. You also want to find a certain aesthetic that you aspire to look like. So for me personally, I love the clean girl aesthetic, and I wanted to switch over from the IG baddie look and aesthetic over to that classy, clean girl type of look. So I started looking into Pinterest. I started getting my inspo from Instagram on how I could change my hair, how I could change my personal style so I could really tap into that clean girl aesthetic. You want to tap into an aesthetic that aligns with your future self and the new version that you are becoming. In a nutshell, you want to get to a point where your outer appearance is aligning with that internal work that you have done on yourself. So tap into trying out different hairstyles, different looks, different beauty routines, and different ways to elevate yourself and enhance and maximize what you already have. And that's the beauty of reinventing yourself. It's not about transforming into this completely different person, but it's about evolving into the higher version of who you already are. All right, you guys, so that is it for today's video. I really hope that you found these levels helpful. These are personal things that I did in my journey to reinvent myself and to truly step into that new version of myself. And if there is one thing I want you guys to take away from this video, is that reinventing yourself is not about becoming perfect overnight. It's about making those small intentional changes consistently and slowly evolving into the higher version of yourself that you know you're capable of becoming. So give yourself grace, trust the process, and understand that growth takes time. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and found it to be helpful, please don't forget to comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thumbs up this video, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye.